Welcome to Sacred Hours. I'm Jen, a bereavement doula, and I'm so honored that you are taking this time for yourself. Today's video is all about relationships and how they change and setting boundaries. This can be a really hard and really heavy part of loss, and it can be where you start to get in your head and really just feel like you're really overworking it a lot in your head, and I'm going crazy because I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that and I need to do this but I can't. And I want you to know that everything you're feeling is valid, first of all. And it's very easy to slip into the, well, this feels different, or this doesn't feel good, or am I crazy because now I don't want to be around my friend because she's pregnant? No, you're not. If you've experienced pregnancy loss, it's really hard to be friends with people that are becoming pregnant, that have children, that are, maybe even just on social media. If you're just scrolling and you come across a pregnancy announcement, that's going to be painful. And so there's ways to set boundaries that will help protect your peace, because I think that's the biggest thing when you're grieving and your body and your nervous system are all out of whack and you're really trying to come back into yourself and nourish your body and regulate your nervous system. You got to notice where things don't feel good. And maybe it's a few accounts that you follow on social media that just found out they're pregnant. Unfollow them. It's totally okay. It is totally your right. It's totally valid to unfollow people. Even if it's not just like random people, even if it's like your sister-in-law, unfollow them. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay to not see those things on the daily. Maybe they're going to post, updates, or maybe they're going to post complaints of feeling sick, and that's not going to feel good either. These little things are going to trigger you and trigger your nervous system and start going like an alarm in your ear, and your body's going to feel gross, your heart rate's going to speed up, and your hands are going to get sweaty. And you don't need that. You really don't. And so I think finding those triggers, finding those things that aren't feeling good, that aren't feeding to your good energy, your positivity, and setting up walls there. I think we can just feel like we owe it to people to stay continuing to be their friends, to stay, completely in touch and giving them all the updates like family. Maybe it's an overbearing mother-in-law or sister-in-law or cousin or something that is just really wanting to know everything that you're going through, or they get pregnant and then they're just overbearing with it. Well, when it's your turn, just different things that people can say or do that make you feel like you need to stay a part of it because they're blood, they're family, they're friends, they've been there for you through this and that, and you're allowed to set boundaries. Boundaries will keep your nervous system safe. They will keep you safe, and they're 100% your right. So set the boundaries. I know it's hard. I'm not saying it's easy, but you have to set the boundaries. And you can start with simple ones, like unfollowing a couple of the famous accounts that got pregnant after you lost, that you don't like to see their content anymore. Super easy, super quick, feels good, right? And then it can be, if you do have like a mother-in-law that is really asking questions, sending you articles, just being really too intense with maybe how you're feeling. And we got to remember that this is how she is perceiving that she can help you. So we don't want to take it out on her, but we can put up a wall. And sometimes that boundary setting is hard because maybe sometimes it's a conversation that you can have with them and say, hey, I love you, and I know that you're trying to help me right now, but all of this extra information, all of this extra check-ins is actually really overwhelming me. So I'd love it for you to check in with me on Sundays. I think a huge thing when you're doing boundary setting is not just telling somebody what you don't want and what they can't have, but setting a boundary, setting a limit of, I love that you're doing this for me, but can we please only do it XYZ? Giving them a tangible of, this is how I can do it now instead of how I've been doing it. That's my biggest tip that I can give you, because otherwise they can really take offense to it and be hurt by it. And I know that's why a lot of people don't want to set boundaries, is because we love these people. We don't want to hurt them. But I want you to remember that you're allowed to set these boundaries because you are protecting your peace and your energy for yourself and your family and your future family. And that is very important. Relationships will change. And I'm not going to get into that too deep on this video, but that's where you need to recognize if you need to set boundaries. Maybe you went through a loss with a friend and she was helping support you and she continued a pregnancy. Maybe you guys were both pregnant at the same time. And that's going to change that relationship. That's going to change that friendship dynamic 100% because you lost your pregnancy and she's carrying on with the pregnancy. And this will create, kind of that energy that maybe just doesn't feel good to you. Maybe it's hard to watch her be in a place where you would be. And maybe it's hard for her to be in that place knowing that you can't be there. And so I think just putting some space, this is where instead of like setting a boundary of we can't talk anymore, maybe it's just I need a little bit of space. Because this is hurting me right now and I know it's not you and I don't want to take it out on you. So I'm just going to take a little bit more space or, just really having those open conversations on how you're feeling. This is how I'm feeling. I need a little bit of time to figure out how I can still support you and be friends with you and love you without feeling negatively towards you. Because it's not about that person, it's about you want what they have and you can't have it. So I just want to remind you that relationships will change. And maybe it's not even that instance. Maybe this is your first pregnancy and you lost and it's your mother's first grandchild. And so she is upset, which sometimes people don't understand. And so she's very upset and she's, almost taking it harder than you are and being very open about it and talking to everybody about it. And your relationship is changing because now, she's not just your mom, she's the mother of her deceased grandchild. And that's kind of like blowing that out of proportion a little bit. But the relationship is going to change. When you go through grief, it changes, it expands a lot of relationships, it'll deepen a lot of relationships, but it can change them and it can create the need for space in relationships. And I want you to remember that you're allowed to take that space and that pause in a relationship. But that's all I'm going to go into on the relationships on this episode. But remember to set those boundaries, even if they're small. Give them a tangible way that they can continue to be in your life. And really just put yourself first in this season that you're in. You're allowed to put yourself first, and I really believe that. But thank you for taking this time for yourself today, and take a few deep breaths and be proud of yourself in just getting curious and maybe going on this healing journey if you're already on it. I really am proud of you for doing that, and this space is always here for you.